remembering, recognizing, and recalling parallel and perpendicular lines. My name is Bryce Hill. We'll be going over basic geometric figures, which is our key text. This is for Geometry Math 3050, Georgia State University, spring semester 2001. Here's Bloom Taxonomy. We're going to be starting at the bottom of the triangle here. We're going to be recalling facts and basic concepts. Here's our Georgia Standard. Find area of right triangles and other triangles, quadrilaterals, and polygons by composing them into rectangles or decomposing into triangles and other shapes. Apply these techniques in the concept of solving real-world and mathematical problems. Here's our reference link. Here's our same standard in the Common Core. Essential questions. Students will keep considering what are the defining differences between parallel and perpendicular lines. Students will keep considering what rules can be used to determine the measure of unknown angles. Students will keep considering what are the mathematical attributes of angles and how are they measured or calculated. Students will keep considering how are spatial relationships, including shapes and dimensions, used to draw, construct, model, and represent real situations or real problems. Understanding. Students will understand that geometry can effectively describe natural occurring patterns. Students will understand that identifying the properties of smaller components of geometric figures can help understand the component design and properties of more complex geometric shapes. Students will understand that there is more than one way to represent and understand relationships between angles. Students will understand that parallel lines are co-planar. Students will understand that perpendicular lines can be co-planar as well as non-coplanar. Students will understand that two non-coplanar lines that do not intersect are skew lines. Students will understand that a line that intersects two coplanar lines in two distinct or different points is called a transversal. Knowledge. Students will know that two lines that lie in the same plane are coplanar. Students will know that two lines that lie in different planes are non-coplanar. Students will know that two coplanar lines that do not intersect are parallel. Students will know that two non-coplanar lines that do not intersect are skew lines. Students will know that lines that intersect and form right angles are perpendicular lines. Students will know that lines that intersect two coplanar lines in two distinct or different points is called a transversal. Skill. Students will be skilled at defining coplanar lines. Students will be skilled at defining non-coplanar lines. Students will be skilled at defining skew lines. Students will be skilled at defining parallel lines. Students will be skilled at defining perpendicular lines. Students will be skilled at defining transversal lines. Students will be skilled at building geometric figures by knowing how to connect points, which are then connected to line segments or rays. Students will be skilled at associating material with prior knowledge to solve new problems. Students will be skilled at classifying geometric figures or their components by definition, labeling, illustration, or symbols. Barriers to goals. Students may not have access to computers, Microsoft Office Suite, Google Docs, or other software. Students may not understand some abstract concepts. Pre-assessment. This formative assessment is to gauge a student's level of knowledge before the lesson. Here's the link to the assessment. Transfer. Students will be able to independently use their learning to define coplanar lines, non-coplanar lines, skew lines, parallel lines, perpendicular lines, transversal lines. Here's the beginning of our lesson. Any two or more points that are on the same plane are called cooperative, coplanar, colinear, coefficient. Give the students time to answer. The answer is coplanar. Any two or more points that are on the same plane. Next question. If two lines lie in the same plane, they are said to be, and here's the illustration here, have the students answer. Are these illustrations showing coplanar, plane, polar, or spelled this way, plane? The definition, coplanar. Any two or more points that are on the same plane. However, coplanar can also be defined any two or more lines that are on the same plane. Next question. Two lines that lie in different planes are called what? Looking at this illustration here, does that represent a plane, or spelled plane, P-L-A-N-E, non-polar, or non-coplanar? The answer, non-coplanar. 2 points are two lines that lie in different planes. Next question. Any two or more points that are on the same line are called, and as you can see the points are lined up on this line, this is colinear, cooperative, coplanar, or coefficient. The answer is colinear. Any two or more points that lie on the same line. Now, please understand that colinear and coplanar are different. Colinear, again, any two or more points that are on the same line. Coplanar are any 2 points that are on the same plane. Next question. Two coplanar lines that do not intersect are called perpendicular lines, parallel lines, straight lines, or skew lines. The answer is parallel lines, which are two coplanar lines that do not intersect. Next question. Double lines, here's the symbol here, that identifies what type of lines? Transversal, parallel, skewed, or perpendicular? The answer is parallel. This symbol shows two coplanar lines that do not intersect. Next question. This symbol here, or this diagram here, or this illustration here, represents what? A transversal, parallel lines, intersecting lines, perpendicular lines. Now, intersecting lines would be a good answer, but a better one would be transversal, which is a line that intersects two coplanar lines in two distinct or different points. Next question. Lines that intersect and form right angles. Perpendicular lines, parallel lines, straight lines, or skew lines. The answer to this, perpendicular lines. Lines that intersect and form right angles. This symbol here is a symbol that identifies which type of lines. Parallel lines, straight lines, perpendicular lines, or skew lines. The answer is perpendicular lines. This symbol shows lines that intersect and form right angles. Two non-coplanar lines that do not intersect are called parallel lines, perpendicular lines, subline, or skew lines. The answer is skew lines. Two non-coplanar lines that do not intersect. Here's an example of skew lines. Now that's the end of our lesson. Here we have the post-lesson summative evaluation, which is a review of the lesson. Here's the link here. Here's my works cited page. And that's the end of this video. Please subscribe and check out my channel for more videos. Take care and thanks.